This is Ian, aka Tiger Mendoza. I don't normally do many YouTube videos, so go easy on me, but here is a video I am doing in response to Dave's own tractor mapping video from something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and then I saw Dave's video and I thought, well, I'll give that a go too. Just shout out to him. I'll include a link below to his original video if you want to see his tractor mapping, but I thought I'd show mine. So this is actually a mapping for the Traktor S2 Mark III, and then if I move over here, you'll see I also have a Traktor X1 Mark II. So yeah, I use the two together. Obviously this one mainly for kind of left main decks A and B, and then this for a sample deck in channel on deck C, and a kind of third audio deck which I use mainly for playing acapellas and stuff. Yeah, and then kind of layering up. So basically, I as you'll see on screen, I have a 4-deck setup, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I found using the X1 alongside the S2 just a lot easier to do things with than you trying to use the sample function built within the S2 itself. Yeah, and I happen to have the X1 already. The X1 is actually it's a controller I bought first. I've used it lots with Ableton. It's part of my kind of Ableton Live setup via MIDI. Just going to say this, Native Instruments, I cannot do that currently with the S2 because it can't do MIDI out. Just going to leave that there hanging. Anyway, but as a controller for Traktor, it is great. I do love it. I just like using it alongside the S2, sorry, the X1 as well. Anyway. So, what I won't do, I mean, this isn't a full review of the S2, there are plenty of them out there. Like I say, I've had it for about a year. It's been a really great controller for the most part. Really enjoyed using it, got me into DJing, really, which has been really good. DJing probably, I suppose. But yeah, there's a couple of things I have done which I'll hopefully show you in this video, just to kind of, yeah, which will hopefully become apparent, and hopefully it's made certain things easier anyway. So, what's the first thing I can show off? Ooh. Ah, just with me. Okay, so I mean, if I move that up and down, obviously these are just standard mappings. I don't need to show you that. First, kind of, and I've got a couple of main tracks lined up in here, so I'll do this. This is Lovesick with Asher Dust, shout out to Asher Dust. On deck A, I have Pie Face, which I did with David Griffiths from my album The Shadow. Links below to all the audio and stuff like that if you want to go check it out afterwards. On the X1, I have a sample pack with mainly a whole bunch of breaks and stuff on, and I'm recording this near Christmas time, so a bunch of Christmas samples too. So what I've, yeah, and no acapellas at the moment, but anyway, it's just a deck. Just go with it, it's fine. Just know that this will set that playing, and it just works like any other deck. I'll show you some other stuff, but maybe with that in a sec. So let me get rid of the stream on the camera, because it's very unprofessional. So I am holding the camera in my hand. This is not a professionally shot thing, just again go with it. So let me start with the S2 mappings. So mainly what I've done is use a combination of shift to get some alternate functions, and then because I'm not using the sample function, I have turned the sample button into effectively a kind of a second shift or a second alt function. So it gives me another layer of different options available. Slightly different to Dave's version of this. I have these, this isn't a hold, it doesn't put it into a mode, so if I want to use that with one of the other buttons I have to hold it down and press that too. You'll see what I mean in a sec. And the other thing as well is that all the, like the decks themselves, all the controls are mirrored for both decks. So the shift works on deck B here, and this shift is for all functions on deck A. Okay, so what can I show you here first? Let's try playing something. So there's that. If I then go to here, that's pretty standard. One of the things I have done is, I think this is new. Oh, I can't remember. So one of the things I like doing is switching up the tempo. So if you want to go from, say, a hip hoppy type thing to a drum and bass type thing, I've rigged these up. So if I press Shift and Hot Q, it will drop the tempo by half, and then if I go to samples plus Hot Q, it will take it back up again. Oh, just realised I wasn't on camera. We do it again. So Shift and Hot Q, half the tempo, sampled and Hot Q, double the tempo. There you go, which is pretty handy, like I say, when you go from one to the other. That's pretty cool, and that's really handy on the fly, like I say. I use sync a lot, unashamedly, so for me to be able to sync there and just go from one to the other really helps. What else can I show you? If I do a Shift and play, that actually copies the track from A to B, and obviously on deck A from B to A, which is pretty handy. Something I have borrowed from, not sure how I'm going to do this one-handed, something I borrowed from Dave is if I hold Shift down and twist, I don't know if you can really see this, but yeah, if I hold Shift down and twist that, you'll see it's incrementing the pitch by a semitone. That's quite handy in terms of being able to mix it in tune, which I like. And then if I want to just return back to 0 again, or back to neutral, I press samples and I just push it in and it resets it, which is quite cool. So there's that. What else have I got in here? That's kind of the main ones, I think. What else have I? There is a couple of other. So I can also change the effects that are on. Ooh, why is that good? Yeah, that's better. So if I hold down the Shift button, I can switch on the effects 1 and 2 from here using the effect kind of inline effects, mixer effects, whatever these are called. So that does that, and again does the same on deck A. What else have I got on here? I feel like I'm forgetting something. That's really annoying. Anyway, so there's that. That is my S2 setup. I'm sure something else is going to come to me, and I can't remember what it is, and that's really irritating. Anyway, so that's the start of the S2. So, moving over to the X1, this is probably where most of the, or more of the custom stuff is. It's like I say, it's a great controller, but being able to use it alongside the S2, I had to tweak and change some things for fairly obvious reasons. So, with that in mind, I suppose the first thing to mention is the sample mode. So out of the box, it does. You can use it with sample modes, and the 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. They kind of basically just map to the top row of the clips, which is kind of nice. But what I wanted to be able to do is actually change it so it moves through just within one screen. It moves through all 4 rows when I want them to, so I can have basically 4 levels of clips, or you'd be able to use all 16 clips within the remix view. So during my tracks. So how have I done that? So obviously in sample mode or remix mode, the kind of loop control is pretty useless. So what I've done is use that to select the different rows. If you see, I don't know how well this is shown on camera, but you'll see the Q button actually lights up in 4 levels of blue, or 4 levels of illumination, which tells me kind of which row they're on. Now ideally, if I move my headphone cable that way, Ideally, what I would love to be able to do is actually have the number here show the number of the row number, so I know which row I'm on, but I haven't found a way to be able to do that. If you know of a way, leave your comments below, and I'd love to hear from you, but until now this kind of works. This is pretty new, so I'm still playing with it, but yeah, it works pretty well. So with that in mind, so what can I do with that? Let's just start this playing. So if I loop that, oh, no, wrong one. Let me loop. Oh, of course, because let's do this instead. So if I loop this, and then let's say I want to make things a little bit more Christmassy, I can go to first level up, go to deck here, and this, you'll see that turns blue, which corresponds to the colour of the clip on the that's playing at the moment. Turn that down a little bit. Now what I have kept here, so if I just want a general volume increase, I could turn the samples up here on the S2. Oh, yo, instant Christmasing, obviously, which is kind of nice. So again, my cable out of the way. So if I then notch it up again, if I press this button, it will go to my other sleigh bells. If I go back down to 0, it will then play this break. So I've now got, basically I can create a track almost on the fly. So a bit of a floor to floor there, so that's pretty cool. I can also mute these channels, so if I want to get rid of that break there, just mute it and bring it back in, which is pretty cool. I can do the same with this, so just keep it to the full floor and turn this up again. There we go. This is going to be really difficult for me to do one-handed again, but if I did just want to turn this down, then I can press shift and just turn the loop button, and you'll see on screen that that just turns down the left, or sorry, the track C volume. And turn it back up again. The sample volume on the S2 just turns down both together. So when I've got some an acapella running on deck D, and some samples going on deck C, then obviously I may want to just kind of turn down the volume on one or the other. So yeah, that's how I've done that. And this, I could have mapped the volume controls here on the S2, but I wanted to keep them just for the decks because that's just easier in my mind. So that's that. What else have I got on here? I've got some pretty crazy effect mappings. Why am I squibbling so much? Sorry about that. So in terms of the effects unit up here, so you will see this. So mostly this controller is made for the what's on that too. Mostly the controller is made for controlling the effects racks, I suppose, which again is one of the things that the S2 is missing. I didn't bother implementing the effects racks on the S2 because I've got this. So this auto maps to the effects rack in the top left and the top right. So I can just switch that on and they come on as they should do, and you'll see here, so there's nothing new, that's just out of the box type stuff. The more interesting bits, and the same on this side obviously as well, the more interesting bits I suppose are that if I again press shift, you will see this top one here is actually the EQ for deck, is the mid EQ for deck C. So if I want to take the bass out or something, then I can do that with this. Soft takeover, so it kind of kicks in when I hit that point. So if I do the same here, there you go. Oh, there we go. And again, that's probably didn't see that so well, but that's when I'm holding down this shift button. Yeah. What else have I got in place? Again, there's probably something else, and I completely forgotten what it is. No. Oh, effects buttons. Aha. So I showed you I can add the effects from the S2 here, but I can also add effects from here. So on this one, if I press the effect button here, you'll see it actually switches on the effects one for deck A, not deck C as you may expect. Again, I wanted that kind of clarity, and deck A and B are really my masters. Decks C and D are the kind of, you know, extra stuff. I can switch on effects for decks C and D with the shift button. So I do that, and that then turns on that. I should mention I actually implemented for the sample thing. I'm basically using the Q button. Again, it's not really used for samples, so the Q button's a kind of second, almost like a second shift button. So I probably could have done it with shift and this, but anyway. So to mute and unmute, it's Q and 2, which will then mute the second row there. Sorry, second column, or that does the same there, and same there, and same there. It also has a impact of playing, so and they amen break, as we all know that. There we go. So that really briefly is my S2 and X1 setup. Just once again, Native Instruments, please give me MIDI outputs on this so that I can use it with other software. Thanks, please, thanks. But apart from that, if you have any comments, if you would like a copy of this, it's not made available yet, but I can show I can do the mappings in another video if you want. But until then, this is Tiger Mendoza saying thanks for watching. Alright, cheers guys.